You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Now get the guns, the drugs, to my generation, I'll take the fall. The saints, across the nation, and it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the frauds, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Welcome back to Reliving the War, Soldier, and welcome to September 27th, 1999. Raw's in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight, while Nitro's in Atlanta, Georgia. Not the Georgia Dome though, we're in the Phillips Arena. Unforgiven just took place and Triple H is once again WWF Champion, but it's not all bad news for Mr. McMahon. Vince was able to settle the referee strike before Raw went on the air, though I do wonder why Jimmy Cordes is absolutely fine standing beside the man who kicked his ass last night at the pay-per-view. On Nitro, things don't start off too well for Hulk Hogan. The Stinger attacks Hulk right at the show open and it looks like he's re-injured his knee. Hogan's supposed to compete in that big 6-man tag tonight and he still wants to get in the arena and fight for the rights of every man, but it doesn't look too good. Maybe Bret Hart and Ric Flair are going to be at a disadvantage tonight. This week's jam-up guy didn't buy his shirt, but he did give us some invaluable information. Remember how I mentioned last week that I wished I kept a tally of the amount of matches that ended in disqualification since beginning Reliving the War? Well, Patreon supporter Colby's been keeping score, and here's what we've got. Out of 209 episodes of Nitro, and remember we're including unopposed shows too, 106 main events ended in a DQ or no contest, while 8 ended with a countout. Out of 206 episodes of Raw, 76 ended in disqualification or no contest, while again 8 ended with a countout. That means 54.5% of Nitro main events ended without a standard pinfall or submission victory, as opposed to Raw's 40.8%. This is some great research, and I'm sure many of you, like myself, thought Nitro's number would have been higher. The WWF actually aren't all that far behind, so yeah, more Monday Night War myth busting on Reliving the War. Thank you very much, Colby, and I look forward to seeing updated numbers at the end of the series. Tonight we've got a hair versus mask match when Psychosis takes on Billy Kidman, and Bobby Heenan shows us what Kidman could look like should he lose tonight's semi-main event. Smackhead Kidman could potentially return, ladies and gents, and I'm all for it. The commentators also announced a TV title match for Nitro, Chris Benoit versus Ernest Miller, and the disconnect between what the TV audience hears against what the live audience hears is once again very evident. The cat comes out and he says he wants a shot at Sting's World Championship and he demands that the man wearing the gold comes out now for a match. The audience in attendance are surprised to see Chris Benoit and not Sting, but us viewers at home already knew it was going to be Chris Benoit thanks to Tony Schiavone's announcement. It's not a big deal, but it's one of those things WCW did quite frequently and something the company could have tightened up a little. Cat's best offense was this elbow drop right here. Yeah, I'm easily impressed. Sonny Ono got involved, but he ended up getting smacked with Miller's ruby slipper. Benoit then suplexed the challenger before delivering his diving headbutt, and the cat topped out to the crippler crossface. A pretty rough opener here, but the crowd were definitely into it. Buff Bagwell then defeated Vampiro clean as a whistle in our next match. No interference from the ICP, no underhanded tactics from either man. I was actually surprised by this outcome because I think right now Vampiro has much more to offer in regards to potential storylines and rivalries. Buff Bagwell's moment is seemingly past them by, and WCW did a terrible job of capitalizing on his pretty insane popularity just a few short months ago. Vampiro missed the top rope leg drop and he also failed to superplex his opponent. Buff ends up winning with the blockbuster, and yeah, it was a pretty scrappy match here and we have seen better from both men. A strange voice then begins calling Tony Schiavone's name.
Tony, wait. WCW. This is the beginning of the darkness that will fall upon you.
A completely unrelated pre-recorded video then plays. It shows Lex Luger lying in his coffin while a woman mourns his apparent death. This is incredibly weird, seeing as Luger was just on Nitro last week. A spooky ghost then sits up and he says, "Here lies Lex Luger, a fine man and a great champion who's no longer with us." We then get transported to Lex's final resting place where spooky Luger looks over this woman throwing some flowers on top of his coffin, and back in the arena the woman walks out. It's Miss Elizabeth and the commentators are blown away by how good she looks. This is all so random, but Schiavone explains that this is the unveiling of a new Lex Luger. He's now going to be known as just the total package and nothing more. And inside the ring, we see Lex looking the exact same as always. He gives the fans a gun show as Schiavone says this is a rebirth, a new beginning for the total package. So yeah, there you have it. Spooky Luger's been repackaged as the total package, only the repackaging's kinda like the old package. Sting wasn't too happy that Hogan was able to walk into the arena earlier on, so without any remorse and without a care in the world, he attacks Hogan again in the dressing room, Pearl Harbored from the front. It looks like Hulkamania ain't going to run wild tonight, brothers, and the six-man tag's now in serious jeopardy. Our number one ends with a Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio match. You know it's going to be quality when these two work together, and for those who didn't check out my WCW vs NWO TakeOver Germany video, you need to see their match on that particular show. These two have had some great matches together, and this one in Germany I feel is very overlooked. The Filthy Animals and the Revolution were sent to the back for this one, and during the match we saw Sid Vicious and Rick Steiner arrive into the arena in their rental car. This car provides us with one of the greatest moments in Nitro history, but more on that later on. Mysterio steals the victory with a magistral cradle and Dean accepts the match outcome. No interference from the Filthy Animals and no interference from the Revolution. Raw kicks off with a Triple H promo while Nitro continues on with Bill Goldberg versus Hugh Morrus. So Triple H won the six-pack challenge at Unforgiven and Hunter says he proved to the world once again that Triple H is beyond the man. He's stronger than all, Triple H is the game, and as a matter of fact, he's the best damn game there's ever been in this business. No mate, that's WWF No Mercy for Nintendo 64. Hunter proved that his opponents in the six-pack challenge weren't even in his league, and the best thing about it was Stone Cold Steve Austin having to count the 1, 2, 3. The Rattlesnake had no choice, and Hunter says he won't sleep until he beats Stone Cold in the middle of the ring. Beating Austin is Hunter's new mission. Chinlock Chief Davey Boy Smith then shows up looking extra sweaty, and we find out what kind of deal these two made with each other last night at the pay-per-view. Bulldog says Hunter needs to forget about Steve Austin because he and Hunter promised that if either one of these two were victorious in the six-pack challenge, they'd give the other man a title shot the next night on Raw. While calling Triple H Game Boy, Bulldog reminds Helmsley that he bailed him out last week on SmackDown. Davey only came back to the WWF to win the championship, and tonight Bulldog's going to become the new champion. Hunter flat out says that he lied to Davey, the Bulldog's getting nothing, and Davey promises that one way or another he will take Triple H out and get the WWF Championship. It could be later tonight or it could be right now. Hunter says screw you, so Davey launches an attack which quickly gets stopped thanks to Chyna providing a distraction. Hunter hits Davey with a low blow, referees come out to break things up, and then no chance in hell plays in the arena. Mr. McMahon's here tonight on Raw. Vince congratulates Triple H for his win at Unforgiven, but he's a little disappointed that Helmsley refused to defend his championship. Vince says there will be a WWF title match tonight. It's not going to be against Davey Boy Smith. Instead, it's going to feature the man who Davey screwed over last week on SmackDown, and that, of course, is The Rock. Triple H is angry. I think the Bulldog's probably angry. It's a big main event tonight on Raw, and Triple H's second title reign could be very short. We then see Test and Stephanie McMahon trying to pick out some threads for the big wedding. In this, Pat Patterson looking jabroni thinks this green outfit would look great on Big Andy. Stephanie prefers a more traditional look, and Test tells Stephanie he wants to go lingerie shopping after picking out his suit. The big man wants some fishnet tights he can wear during the honeymoon. Mick Foley wants to apologise to The Rock for attacking him during the Unforgiven main event. He has a surprise for the Great One, and according to Foley, this surprise is going to make the People's Champ go banana. Hugh Morrus actually gave Goldberg a decent fight on Nitro. It started off like a typical Goldberg match, but it didn't take long for Big Sid Vicious to show up to hit Billy Boy with a steel chair. From here, Morrus went on offense and he pulled off a few big moves, including an elbow drop from the top rope, and he even delivered his no laughing matter moonsault. But if you thought Morrus had a chance at beating Goldberg, then you'd be very much mistaken. Bill did get a little dazed and confused. He got even more dazed and confused when he smacked his head off the canvas after connecting with a spear. But Hugh Morrus falls victim to the jackhammer and Goldberg wins another one on Nitro. Our winner calls out Sid for a fight after the bout, but of course Sid doesn't show up. Billy Boy says he's serious when he says he's never wanted to beat someone up as much as he wants to beat up Sid Vicious. Sid's next, and it's just a matter of time before the big man gets put in his place. We then see an ambulance leaving the arena. We assume Hulk Hogan's in there, but it could be anyone. Could be Hugh Morrus, could be the Cat, could be some guy who bought front row tickets and he's died from regret. Who knows?
Oh, big bratwurst.
Our main man Berlyn takes on Evan Karagias next on Nitro, an easy victory if I've ever saw one. On Raw, Double J cuts a promo. We get reminded about Berlyn's post-match chinlock last week, so you can guarantee one of the Armstrongs are going to show up here on Nitro this week. Fortunately, it happened after the bell, but unfortunately, this match was under 3 minutes long. Alex Wright can last over 25 minutes on a bad day, so a bit more runtime would have been nice here. It's the exact same finish as always. The unnamed bodyguard smacks Evan, Berlyn delivers his neckbreaker, and Das Wunderkind wins via pinfall. We get another post-match chinlock, and how perfect is it that Alex makes folks suffer after the bell with some devastating chin abuse? Seriously, this guy was the perfect wrestler. Brad Armstrong runs down, he kicks Berlyn in the face. Alex and the security guard then beat the crap out of BA, and there wasn't a single No Limit soldier in sight. Remember those guys? Backstage, we see Bill Goldberg looking for Sid. Sid's nowhere to be found, but Goldberg is able to snatch away his car keys. Let's give our guy a name here. Bert. I'm not sure if Bert needs a shit or if he's busting the laugh, but either way, I do hope he gets more TV time. David Flair, who I totally forgot existed, makes a phone call backstage. He wants a large pepperoni pizza with extra cheese, and he also wants to know where Tori is. The guy says he can get him a delicious pizza right now, but he has no idea where Tori's located, although he does provide David with a phone number. Jeff Jarrett wants Tom Prichard to come to the ring with him tonight. Chyna attacked Prichard after the Unforgiven IC title match, so Double J's found himself a little friend, it seems. Jeff announces he wants a tag team match tonight against Chyna and Debra. It's going to be Double J and Tom Prichard teaming up in the ultimate battle of the sexes, and Jeff says it's time to put these two women back in their places. The only question is, do these women have the balls to accept the challenge? Well, Chyna says she's definitely up for it. No one's going to stop Chyna from getting in the ring after what happened at Unforgiven, though Debra may be a different story. Chyna says she's got nothing against Debra, but she could end up being a casualty if she gets in the ring tonight. So the ninth wonder of the world gives her potential partner some advice: stay away from the ring. The Big Show takes on Chris Jericho next on Raw. On Nitro, the Windham brothers face Harlem Heat again. You may think I'm being a bit hypocritical here, seeing as I'm not calling out the WWF for booking another Rock vs Triple H match for the main event tonight, but there's a huge difference between repetitive mid-card matches and repetitive main event matches. There's only so many main eventers in each company, and folks in attendance feel like they're getting their money's worth when a match like Triple H vs Rock gets announced. There's a lot more room in the mid-card to switch things up, and besides, it's not like Harlem Heat and the Windham brothers are having great matches against each other. They're definitely serviceable, but nothing you'd want to see multiple times over the span of a few weeks. This time it was Harlem Heat pulling off some underhanded tactics, but Kurt Hennig and Curly Bill were already interfering while standing at ringside. Stevie Ray got the opportunity to attack Barry with his tag team belt, and this attack allowed Booker T to score a pinfall win. Nothing to see here, unfortunately. Bill Goldberg's backstage phoning a towing company. We assume he's going to play a nasty prank on Sid Vicious, and the big man might have some trouble getting to his hotel tonight. On Raw, Chris Jericho brags about ending Ken Shamrock's career. He brags about taking out the Road Dogg following his debut match on SmackDown, and now the new world's most dangerous man's going to end the career of the WWF's, and I quote, biggest waste of sperm, the Big Show. And Show will never be able to bore these fine people ever again. Show absolutely manhandles Y2J before Prince Albert shows up on commentary. He says he's here to get a look at this Big Show goof up close and personal, so I guess we're going to see a Show versus Albert rivalry. Can't say I'm too excited about that. Albert says he's going to kick the Big Show down to become the new skyscraper of WWF, but it looks like Jericho might beat him to it as he kicks the Big Show right on the jaw. Chris tries to apply his short arm scissors, but Show picks him up and he dumps him on the mat. Curtis Hughes provides a distraction and this allows Y2J to hit a low blow, but Show completely no-sells it before going for the chokeslam. Albert then jumps on the top rope and Big Show gets taken out with a dropkick, and this means Big Show wins the match via disqualification. On the rampway, Jericho sacrifices Curtis Hughes so he can get away from Road Dogg Jesse James. Looks like Road Dogg has some unfinished business with Y2J. Because he's one of the dozens and dozens, Stevie Richards wants to know if he can steal one of Mick Foley's gimmicks. Foley acts oblivious and he wonders if Stevie wants to be the deranged Mankind or maybe even Cactus Jack, but Stevie obviously wants to be Dude Love so he can get all the chicks. Mick says Stevie can knock himself out while telling his big surprise that the chicks hated Dude Love, it was all part of the gimmick. Next up on Raw, we've got a Steve Austin promo, while over on Nitro, it's Van Hammer versus Rick Steiner. Yeah, this was supposed to be a Van Hammer versus Sid Vicious match, but Rick said Sid has better things to do with his time. He said the same thing to Chris Benoit 2 weeks ago in regards to Sting, so what's going on here? Is Rick Steiner the little bitch boy who does other people's dirty work? Rick laughed his ass off while smothering Hammer's face into the canvas. Rick continued to laugh when he beat Hammer up on the outside. The big man did get a small window of opportunity after pulling off a jumping shoulder block and a spine buster, but this one was over before it began. Rick wins with a Steiner Bulldog and Brother Scott was nowhere to be found. Seeing as Mr. McMahon promised Austin a shot at the WWF Championship, you can only imagine how pissed off Stone Cold is right now on Raw. So Austin wants Vince to walk down the ramp and explain what's going on. Vince comes down and Stone Cold reminds him that the only reason McMahon got reinstated was because Austin was expecting a title shot. And after McMahon thanks Stone Cold for what he did, he reminds him that yes, while he did promise Stone Cold a title shot, he didn't say exactly when that title shot would take place. Vince then confirms that Stone Cold will get his opportunity at No Mercy in a few weeks' time, and Austin says if he doesn't get what he's owed, then he's going to stomp a mud hole in Vince McMahon's ass and walk it dry. In a very calm manner, he follows up by saying, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so, and Vince seems a little shaken by Steve Austin's words. No Mercy takes place on October 17th, so we now know that Steve Austin's going to headline that particular pay-per-view. GTV then catches the Mean Street Posse getting rid of Terry Runnels. Pete Gas was just about to knock one into Terry, but Rodney and Joey Abs have had their fill and they want her gone. They say she's used, abused in yesterday's news, and Pete Gas is left with a severe case of blue balls. It's time to show some respect as we once again enter the dojo. Steve Blackman takes on D'Lo next on Raw while Bret Hart cuts a promo on Nitro. So Steve's getting another shot at the European title, and as I mentioned in last week's SmackDown video, Steve doesn't really want to be European champion. He just wants to hurt somebody, and championship belts mean very little to Big Stevie Cool. Like Prince Albert earlier on, Darren Drozdov comes down to watch this match. He's keeping a close eye on D'Lo, and yeah, Darren's accident happens on the 5th of October during the SmackDown and Sunday Night Heat tapings, but he does get briefly featured on Raw next week. For those who don't know, a running powerbomb from D'Lo left Darren in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Droz was wearing this loose shirt during the match, and Droz said his ring attire contributed to the move going horribly wrong. It should be noted that there was no animosity between D'Lo and Droz after the accident, but D'Lo also carried a lot of personal guilt on his shoulders following the match. As mentioned, Blackman doesn't care about becoming the champion of Europe, so after taking a few moves from D'Lo inside the ring, the match goes to the outside where Steve uses his kendo stick on his opponent. Our one-armed referee calls for the bell, but Blackman isn't done yet. Sensei finds Big Jim Dotson, and the WWF head of security gets motherfucked with a few kendo stick shots. I would have totally paid to see Steve Blackman versus Jim Dotson, by the way. And while this is going on, D'Lo gets attacked by Darren Drozdov. Darren also puked on D'Lo, but this wasn't shown on camera. That same nurse from Unforgiven comes out to check on D'Lo, and Mark Henry also comes out to check on D'Lo, but the European champ wants nothing to do with him. So Bret Hart was attacked by Lex Luger 2 weeks ago on Nitro, and His Excellency comes out to say it'll take a lot more than a baseball bat to keep the hitman down. Bret then says he's happy to be back on the road, which means that little stipulation about only coming back if he gets a Hulk Hogan match has been completely flushed down the toilet. And Hart continues on by saying he used to respect Lex Luger and Sting, but he doesn't respect them anymore. Bret calls Hogan the Elvis Presley of wrestling. There's no one like him, and he's glad to have Hogan as a friend. Ric Flair then walks out, and Bret says he had one of the best matches of his career when he faced Flair upon arriving to WCW. And you can see Flair getting choked up when Bret calls Ric the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret's happy to accept a 3-on-2 match tonight, and Ric says Flair and the Hitman are going to make history when they beat Sting, Luger, and DDP. Bret laughs as Flair starts making fun of Lex's little posing session earlier on, and Flair starts knee dropping the canvas before saying he'll ride Elizabeth too if she wants a piece of Slick Rick. Our guy's going absolutely mental. The famous This Is Your Life segment's up next on Raw, while on Nitro we've got David Flair phoning Tori Wilson plus a Conan vs Saturn match. Now, this is another one of those segments on Raw that's really hard to talk about. There's very little point in me going over the whole promo line by line because 1, I couldn't do it justice, and 2, the whole thing goes on for nearly 25 minutes. You can see the whole thing on YouTube from start to end, and I highly recommend just watching it for yourself. But to summarise, Mick wants to apologise to Rocky for attacking him last night at Unforgiven. He's decided to surprise Rock with a trip down memory lane a la This Is Your Life. Rock says he doesn't need an apology. If The Rock got beat at Unforgiven, it was his own fault. But the Great One does have a title shot tonight, so Rocky wanted to get this promo over and done with. Mick then announced that he's going to take Rock back to the past, and when he announced to Rock that This Is Your Life, a giant poster was supposed to fall from the ceiling, but that didn't happen. Confetti and balloons did begin falling from the sky though, as The Rock wondered what the hell was going on, and Mick kicked off the festivities by bringing out The Rock's 6th grade home economics teacher. The Rock only wanted to make pancakes in her class and she didn't let the Great One make his pancakes. Rock says this lady definitely knows her rules, and Rock tells her to check herself into the SmackDown hotel. Again, I'm summarising here, but it would take a long time to get through all of this. Rock's high school coach comes out next. Coach made Rock run a few laps after the People's Champ DDT'd the team quarterback. So Rock says he's going to take Coach's whistle and shove it straight up his candy ass. Next, we've got the Rock's high school sweetheart, Joanne. Joanne told Rock he could go to second base, but she cut him off at the last second. She's out here now trying to offer the Great One a piece of poontang pie, but instead she can poontang her ass on out of here. Mick then says he didn't know Rock's home ec teacher would turn out to be a bitch, his coach would turn out to be a jerk, and his ex-girlfriend would turn out to be a complete skank. Mick just wanted to make the night special, so he hands Rock the people's present. It's a personalised Rock and Sock Connection jacket, and look, Mick even got one for himself. Foley also bought his partner his very own Mr. Rocco. Mick thinks this is awesome, but Rock doesn't seem too enamoured.
No, you're old!
And finally, Mankind presents his final present. It's Yerple the Clown. You may remember Yerple from Vince McMahon's trip to the hospital last year. She has a little sticker for Rock, IYQ, and when Rock says it doesn't matter what Yerple's name is, Mankind takes it to heart. Mick thinks Rock's being very ungrateful, but maybe the fans singing happy birthday is going to cheer Rocky up. Rock calls Mick a stupid son of a bitch, seeing as his birthday is on May 2nd. The promo ends when Triple H hits the ring holding his sledgehammer. Rock, Mick and Yerple get out of the ring and they head back up the ramp. And when they got backstage, Vince McMahon tore Mick and Rock a new one for going way over time on this promo. Both Foley and Rock confirmed that Vince went absolutely crazy at them for going overtime by more than 10 minutes. The whole show had to get rewritten and runtime had to get cut down on matches due to the This Is Your Life segment. However, when the ratings came in the following day and when the Rock and Sock Connection learned that their segment drew an insane 8.4 quarter rating, Vince had to admit that he was wrong. Again, go and watch it for yourself if you haven't seen it already. It is entertaining the first time you watch it. Meanwhile, in the land of WCW, David Flair finally gets through to Tori, and that filthy girl's hanging out with some filthy animals. She pretends not to be at the arena and she got in a traffic accident at the airport. which is funny, seeing as David must be phoning the same building he's currently sitting in. But anyway, Kidman, Mysterio and the rest of the animals are having a tough time keeping quiet while David gets lied to by his woman. He wonders who else is in the room with Tori right now, and she says no one. Big Balls Flair has no choice but to hang up the phone, and yeah, young love, eh? In the ring, we've got Saturn taking on Conan. K-Dog counters an armbar with an arm drag before hitting a low drop kick, and Perry answers with a super kick. Perry also dodges the rolling lariat before catching Conan for a gargoyle suplex, and Perry stays focused on the arm with a hammerlock suplex. We come back from commercial break to see more suplexes from Saturn. This time, it's a top rope exploder. Perry then pulls off an elbow drop, but Conan almost steals the victory after a pinning Alabama slam. Saturn tries to regain his advantage by throwing Conan around the ring with another exploder suplex, but Conan fires back with an inverted crucifix powerbomb. Loads of impact in this match, and it looks like Conan has it won following the K-Factor facebuster. Unfortunately, it ends in disqualification when Chavo Guerrero runs down along with Juventud Guerrera, Psychosis and Silver King. So I'm guessing this is another little faction forming, which, by the way, wouldn't get any traction at all. The filthy animals run down to save Conan, and Saturn decides to attack Eddie Guerrero. Shane Douglas pulls Perry out of the ring, and things get a bit heated between Shane and the rest of the Revolution. Perry says this was his fight, while Malenko and Benoit agree, but Shane says Saturn needed his help just like Dean needed his help last week. Sid Vicious approaches Bird, and the big man learns that Bill Goldberg stole his keys. He then goes out to check that his car's still there, and thankfully it is. Sid now needs to get his car keys back so he can escape the arena, but as far as we know, Billy Boy still got him. Sid heads back into the arena, and seconds later a tow truck pulls up beside his car. This isn't going to end well for Big Sid Vicious. The New Age Outlaws issue an open challenge for the tag team titles next on Raw. On Nitro, DDP cuts a promo. DDP says the fans here at Nitro tonight love him, and it's not because of his charm, his great personality, or his wit. No, these are things DDP possesses, but the fans love him because he's married to Nitro girl Kimberly Page. The fans also hate him because he's married to Nitro girl Kimberly Page. Tonight, DDP forms the greatest pool of talent ever seen in WCW, consisting of himself, Sting, and the total package. Bret Hart and Ric Flair may be legends, but the three amigos only have one thing to say to the Hitman and the Nature Boy.
Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang!
On Raw, the New Age Outlaws challenge, and I quote, any ghetto-ass tag team in the back to come out for a fight. The tag team champions want to defend their belts, and yes, Road Dogg did say D-Generation X presents the New Age Outlaws, so I assume Billy Gunn's once again a degenerate. I mean, does DX even exist anymore? Well, that question gets a bit more murky when X-Pac and Kane answer the challenge. This is a bit odd too, seeing as X-Pac stated he no longer wanted to team up with the Big Red Machine, but hopefully this all goes somewhere. Right now it feels like some real WCW shit's going on though. Road Dogg and X-Pac show a little sportsmanship before locking up, but within no time at all, the Holly cousins walk down the ramp. They go on commentary where Hardcore says this was their opportunity to win the tag team belts, while Kane and X-Pac already had their chance. So I fully expect this one to end with interference. Kid takes care of Road Dogg, and we go straight to Kane and Billy Gunn. Badass gets hit with a big boot, and Road Dogg has to save his partner from taking a chokeslam. So in comes X-Pac again, and as is tradition, Kid misses a standing Bronco Buster. This allows the Outlaws to send Kane over the top rope. The Outlaws perform their assisted gutbuster on Waltman, and just when the champs were in a good position, the Holly cousins get in the ring. The referee calls for the bell as Hardcore and Crash go after the Outlaws, but Kane and X-Pac help the champs out. Hardcore takes a chokeslam, Crash takes the Bronco Buster, and after the match, X-Pac shakes hands with both Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Kane stands in the background as D-Generation X celebrate in the ring, and yes, don't worry, this is going to lead to something down the road. A terribly short match, but do remember The Rock and Mankind went long during their promo earlier on. Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah wanted to prove you're never too old to kick some ass, so they went out and had an evening gown match against Ivory. These matches did not age well for a multitude of different reasons, and I can't imagine too many of you caring about what happened from bell to bell. This was a non-title match, and it ended with Ivory losing her evening gown, though so did Mae Young. Calm yourself down. Ivory tried to launch an attack after the bell, but she gets taken out by a half-naked Mae Young. Watch at your own peril. Oh yeah, a GTV clip showed us Val Venus finding Mr. Rocco in a bin, and Val decides to use Mr. Rocco to make his big Valboski even bigger. This man has absolutely no shame. Next up, it's the Jeff Jarrett and Chyna mixed tag match, while Nitro presents the Billy Kidman and Psychosis hair versus mask match. So Billy could get his head shaved tonight in that very chair, or another luchador could lose their mask on WCW programming. To be fair, Psychosis already lost his mask in Mexico 1 month ago in a match against Rey Mysterio Sr., so I guess he wanted to keep the same look in Mexico and in the United States. We go to the outside early on where Psychosis pulls off an Arabian Press moonsault. Back in the ring though, he gets dropkicked out of mid-air and Kidman tries to remove the mask. Remember, Kidman has to pin or submit his opponent for the mask to come off for good. Chavo and company run down to complain to the referee. This allows Psychosis to pull off a DDT. Kidman instantly replies with his jumping clothesline, but there's no advantage gained here as Psychosis delivers a top rope Hurricane Rana. Kidman gets tossed to the outside where Chavo gets in a few cheap shots. This allows Psychosis to hit a spinning wheel kick while Billy sits on the top rope. Psychosis argues with the referee, and this was a mistake, seeing as Kidman gets up to deliver a ton of punches across his opponent's back, and this gets followed up with a BK bomb. Neither man can control the match as the back and forth action continues with a set-out gourd buster from Psychosis. This isn't enough to win the bout though, as Billy answers with a power slam. Billy then goes for the kill shot as he sets up a shooting star press. However, the referee's busy with Juventud Guerrera and Chavo's able to pull off his tornado DDT. Kidman kicks out of the follow-up cover, so Guerrera gets in the ring for a Hoovy driver, and again Kidman kicks out. Either Billy Kidman really loves his hair, or he had a sip of Hulk Hogan's magical no-sell elixir in the back. That silly shit Psychosis tries to powerbomb Billy, and that's all she wrote, folks. Kidman counters it, he delivers the shooting star press, and Kidman wins the hair versus mask match. Psychosis' buddies try to stop the mask coming off, but Billy manages to remove it when performing a tornado bulldog. Fans get a look at the luchador's face just before the filthy animals run down to back up Kidman. So there you have it, easily the best match so far this week on Reliving the War, and now we have to get used to seeing Psychosis without a mask. On Raw, Chyna wanted a stipulation added to this tag team match. If she can pin Double J tonight, then she also wants an IC title rematch at No Mercy. Jeff agrees, Debra makes her entrance after a commercial break, and the WWF seriously rushed through this one with Prichard taking a low blow while Chyna takes a chop block. Jeff quickly softens Chyna up for the figure 4 and the move gets applied while the crowd chant "We want puppies." Debra runs in to break up the move. Miss Kitty runs in to get a piece of Debra. The crowd pops as the two women begin fighting and the distraction allows Chyna to hit a low blow on Jarrett. Dr. Tom then hits Chyna with Jeff's guitar, but she falls on top of Double J. The referee counts the pinfall, so Chyna wins this tag team match by pinning Jarrett, and therefore she will get her title rematch at No Mercy. Before the main event, we see the bad guys walking around backstage. The door they're meant to walk through is locked and someone says a naughty word.
I appreciate that.
DDP then reminds whoever this is there's a red light on the camera, translating to "We're live, pal, and watch your dirty potty mouth."
You got a red light right there.
Why not?
So Nitro ends this week with DDP, Sting and Lex Luger taking on Bret Hart and Ric Flair. On Raw, Triple H defends his WWF Championship against The Rock. Again, it's weird seeing Bret Hart walk to the ring with his tag team partner, and these two would develop quite an odd relationship moving forward. They shit-talked each other a lot, but they seem to make amends, only to go back to talking crap again. But tonight they have a tough task ahead of them as they compete in this handicap tag team match. Flair takes a press slam from Sting, but the champ misses a stinger splash. Sting also had a drink from Hulk Hogan's magical no-sell elixir, and again he plays up to the crowd while getting a pop. I said it last week, but Sting isn't doing himself any favours with this kind of stuff if he indeed really wants to be a heel. Something tells me he doesn't really want to though. Rick delivers a low blow, he styles and profiles, while Bret Hart says he saw absolutely nothing. So in comes in comes the total package with a hard clothesline to Slick Rick. Bret Hart tags in and Lex wants no piece of his excellency. The hitman throws right hands before putting Lex down with a clothesline, and we then see the Russian leg sweep followed by the elbow drop from Bret's rope. Bret looks for a sharpshooter, but DDP breaks the hold. And from here, we're going to have Bret getting singled out while Ric Flair looks for the hot tag. The heel team take turns at beating Bret up as Tony Schiavone says Miss Elizabeth sent out a memo stating Lex should only be referred to as the total package from now on. We're going through the usual motions now in the ring as the referee gets way too distracted by the babyface on the apron while the heels take full advantage, though the break comes following a stinging Bret Hart double clothesline. Slick Rick gets tagged in and knife-edge chops are on top. The crowd pops as Flair cleans house and the Nature Boy makes it look easy. Flair then looks for the figure 4 and Bret rushes in to stop DDP and Lex, fuck's sake, the total package. Flair is able to apply his finishing move, but Liz runs over with a baseball bat and Luger chokes out Bret. Yeah, I'm just going to call him Lex Luger. Lex then gets in the ring to hit Flair and that's going to be another DQ, folks. But fear not, ladies and gents, David Flair runs down to help out his dad and yeah, that doesn't work out too well. We then see a shot of the ambulance and there's no one in there. I mean, yeah, that would make perfect sense seeing as Hulk Hogan's supposed to be in hospital. But no, colour me red and yellow. Hulk Hogan hobbles down to the ring and he kicks everybody's asses. Seriously, while wearing cut denim jeans, Hulk destroys DDP, Sting and Lex with the baseball bat and the bad guys head back up the ramp with their tails between their legs. We then cut over to Sid Vicious, who must have just found his car keys.
Oh my God! What happened to my car? Goldberg! Where are you? Goldberg! Goldberg! Goldberg!
Steve Austin joins commentary for this WWF Championship match and Rock goes on offense right away as usual. It doesn't take long for the game to pummel Rock in the corner though, but Rock's able to quickly recover while throwing the champion out of the ring. We then go through the crowd and I'm more impressed with this guy's mullet right here. I can't tell if his shirt's supposed to be designed like that or if he's got the blood of unruly fans dried into his clothing. We go back over the barrier and Triple H gets his head rocked on the ring steps. Jim Ross then reminds everyone that Raw is going to be held in the Georgia Dome in 2 weeks' time, so that's going to be an interesting night at the office. The WWF are going to step right into WCW's home turf. After a brief brawl at the commentary table, we go back into the audience and all the way to the penalty box. The crowd absolutely love it, especially those who are close to the action. We get back in the ring with about 4 minutes of runtime left, so Hunter delivers his facebreaker knee smash before getting out of a rock bottom attempt. The champ then goes for a pedigree, but he's in prime position for a catapult counter. You can always tell by the ring positioning. Rock delivers a DDT, Hunter then falls victim to a Samoan drop. We get another brief fight on the outside, and after sending Rock back inside the ring, the game grabs a steel chair. The referee takes it away, but he ends up getting punched in the face, and The Rock ends up taking a shot to the head. The game's dominated his opposition once again, but he makes the mistake of trash talking Steve Austin, and Stone Cold isn't going to let it fly. So Austin gets in the ring, he delivers a few right hands, Triple H takes a Stone Cold Stunner, and the champion then walks into a rock bottom. The competitors and the referee are down, the crowd begins chanting The Rock's name. Slowly, the challenger makes the cover and Davey Boy Smith runs down to cause a DQ finish. The drama leading up to the cover was absolutely on point and the crowd got worked up into a fever pitch, but the British Bulldog ruins everything and I absolutely love it. Davey attacks both Rocky and Triple H before Raw goes off the air. The final move of the show is a running power slam to the world champion. Give Davey Boy his world title match, damn it, and Nitro will be done forever. I'm giving it the Raw this week. Billy Kidman vs Psychosis was a great match, and Sid losing his mind will live forever in WCW lore. But the Rock and Sock connections, This Is Your Life segment, along with the high drama during the main event finish, was just too hard to beat. Things are still a bit messy on the WCW side, and things just don't feel streamlined anymore. But trust me, things are going to get a lot more convoluted for WCW very soon, and we're going to see a radical change in Nitro's format towards the end of next month. Raw's now on 109 points, Nitro's got 74, and we've got 20 ties on the board. In the TV ratings, Raw scored a huge 6.8, while Nitro got a 3.0. Complete domination by the WWF. Next week on Raw, Chris Jericho gets another opportunity to cut a promo on The Rock. Jim Ross finds himself in a little trouble with WWF champion Triple H, and things get heated between Vince McMahon and the British Bulldog. We'll also catch up on what happened at the UK WWF Rebellion pay-per-view. On Nitro, Sneaky Sid Vicious plans on getting revenge on Bill Goldberg. The Outsiders make their return to WCW, and Bret Hart wrestles Chris Benoit in an Owen Hart Memorial match. Many consider this one the best Nitro match WCW ever produced. Hopefully you'll come back next week and we can do it all over again. Thank you so much for watching, and please take care.
Psychosis went to the bar after Goldberg wrecked his car. He ordered himself a nice cold brew. He has half the brain that I do. He drank his beer, he got really mad. He's gonna finger Goldberg's mom and bang his dad. He ate some chicken, he was finger licking. The Millennium Man kick or be kicking. Sid Vicious, yeah baby. Why did Goldberg destroy your car? Don't bang Goldberg's dad, you absolute maniac.